Soliloquy time, soliloquy time. The Republicans would have you believe.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being here with us today. We are going to have a great program for you today, as usual. Of course, we're going to have a great program for you as usual. Anyway, welcome aboard. The first one in the house today was Patrick Magner with the, instead of the meow, it's a dot. Eow. We also have Yvette Avery Herod, who says, good afternoon, PDR Pass. Good afternoon, Yvette. E22247 from all over the places in the house with us this afternoon. We also have Lee Grant, who says, hey, y'all. Hey, Brother Grant, how you doing today? We also in the house, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. And we have a whole lot going on right here. Some of our regulars are not in yet either. Some of them are in, some are not out. Where is Brother Rudnin? Where is Bridge MCP? Where is Mr. Long Beach? Anyway, let's get started. Eric Hayes is in the house. Paul Fleming from Atlanta, not Atlanta, from Powder Springs, Georgia. And of course, we have Lee Grant from Montgomery County. We have Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta. I don't think I called that out. Anyway, welcome aboard, folks. Great to have you all here. Today, I'm going to start the program with, I think I'm going to start with Bill Gaetz. Gaetz. You know, a lot of people think, oh, this guy is not going to get confirmed. I am having second thoughts. We have all the threats against the senators. We have a whole lot happening. It seems like they want another pedophile to be, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Statutory rape. You can't make this stuff up. Statutory rape. And he is going to be the chief enforcer of the law in the United States. Statutory rape. Matt Gaetz. Why is it that our evangelicals aren't jumping up and down, folks? Why aren't these people saying, look, it's bad enough that we have Donald Trump. It's bad enough that we have somebody that grabs the women by their you-know-what. It's bad enough we have somebody that's a thief. But at least the people around him doesn't have to be thieves and thugs and pedophiles and sexual abusers. But I guess, if you sleep with dogs, as my mom would say, if you sleep with dogs, you rise with fleas. So what we got is a corrupt individual in the White House, because many of you voted for him. Many of you forgot your own morals. Many of you are, to my brothers and sisters who voted for Donald Trump, how do you look your daughter in their eyes and say, I voted for this, who would grab you and who would abuse you? That's what I voted for. How do you look at I have a daughter. I love my daughter to death. I love my daughter to death. And anybody that does things that harms my daughter, I am very, very cognizant. I am cognizant that the leader of this country could not be somebody who treated my daughter, my mama, my auntie, my tia, my tias, the way that Donald Trump treat women. How do you look at your wife? How do you look? How do you do it? How do you go to church? How do you pray to the Lord and say, Lord, thank you for sending me Donald Trump? How do you do it? I look, when I am not being facetious here, I am honestly wondering how you guys were able to do this. But it's not only that you pick the most immoral caricature to be your president, but how do you ever justify telling your kids when you see that thug on TV? How do you ever justify telling your kid that person needs to feel the lesson of the law the way everybody else sees it? How do you do it, people? I am serious here, folks. I mean, I am trying to be civil. I'm trying to really materialize in my head. For those of you also who are saying, let Matt Gaetz get through to be the leader of of our laws in this country. Matt Gaetz, a drug abuser, a cocaine sniffer, a rapist. How do you? I mean, guys, your morality, your moral indignation that you have of so many things no longer has value. No longer has value. But let me tell you what's coming, brothers and sisters, those who voted for, well, actually, it's going to affect everybody, but you are the ones who voted for him. And a large percentage of you, because again, remember, Kamala got the quote unquote educated vote. The women who voted for Donald Trump are the uneducated one. And look at how silly brother Eric is. You either get Gaetz or you get Paxton. You either get a rapist or you get another rapist. Wow. Is that what you have to offer and you're proud to say that, Eric? Are you really proud to say you either get Gaetz or Paxton? That just shows your moral, that just shows your, I mean, it proves who you are. If you say it's either Gaetz or Paxton, and Paxton, we know what he did with women. And we know that Paxton is also a crook. So you're saying, which crook do we want? The one that rapes 17-year-olds or the ones that has affairs and then asks the state to pay for them? Wow, Eric, what choices, huh? What choices? And you're proud to write that, and that is going to follow you. That piece of what you just placed in that chat, all of that is aggregated. All of that is, again, Lee Grant, brother Inahoff, whether that's true or not. By the way, it was proven that that's not true. Okay? It's not true. It was an AI thing with Inahoff. But let's go ahead and assume it were true. He wasn't running for president. Okay? He wasn't running for president. So again, my message to all of you who voted for Trump, you have lost. You've lost your morals. You have lost your morals. I love you guys still, but you no longer have the moral capacity, or we can no longer look at you as someone with any moral capacity. But anyway, let's listen to this about Gaetz, and then we'll move on with my soliloquy that I did at KPFT this morning, because this is important. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side. There's a chance every single crackpot that Donald Trump so far has nominated to be in his cabinet or to run HHS or all these different agencies will get through. And the reason why is that none of the senators, none of them have any spine. They are, in fact, sycophants to the president, and they are more scared of the president than they are patriots. We know that Senator Mark Wayne Mullen actually thought that Matt Gaetz, the nominee for Attorney General, was a disgrace, was a not only a disgrace, but an immoral character who committed crimes, who took underage kids over state lines, etc. And now, listen to what he has to say and listen to how he comes and appeases Donald Trump, how he comes and talk about Matt as if he is a normal guy. This is the problem with what we're seeing today. This is a problem why Donald Trump is likely to get all his nominees through. And let me tell you, earlier on, I did a piece about maybe the Electoral College could be right, given that the Electoral College, a dead clock can be wrong twice, a 12-hour dead clock can be right twice a day. Well, the Electoral College was wrong when it elected Donald Trump the first time. The Electoral College was wrong when it elected George Bush. And you know what? Maybe the Electoral College could do something right and prevent the disaster that is about to happen here. But listen to how Mullen has really changed over the last few days. Take a listen. We'll be right back.
Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma. Senator Mullin, welcome to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me on, Kristen.
Well, thank you for being here. I want to start with former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who, of course, President-elect Trump, as we just said, announced this week was his pick for Attorney General. You have said you trust Mr. Trump's decision-making in naming Gaetz, but you have been critical of Gaetz as well. Here's a little bit of what you've had to say.
We had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls that he had slept with. And he walked up to me as Chris, now Governor Chris, he said, man, she's a fine, and you can put the B word in place there. This is the type of individual Matt Gaetz is.
So, Senator, you clearly have questions about Matt Gaetz's character, but do you believe that Matt Gaetz is qualified to serve as Attorney General?
There's no question that Matt Gaetz and I have had our differences, and that's no secret. Moving forward, I do respect President Trump's the right to appoint these individuals, but underneath Article 2, Section 2, Congress has to advise and consent, and Matt Gaetz is going to go through the same scrutiny as every other individual, and I'm going to give him a fair shot, just like every individual. And at the end of the day, the Senate has to confirm him. I do think it's a very, very tough role. I've got a tough situation that I've got to set my personal opinions, and they're really not opinions. I got to set my personal situation with Matt to the side and look at the facts. If he's qualified, he's qualified. I be quite frank, I didn't even know he was an attorney until after he was appointed Attorney General, and I had to do my research on him. And I know that's crazy because I served with him, but I just never did the dig to find out actually his actual degree, what it was in.
Well, and speaking of digging into his background, the House Ethics Committee was about to release the findings of its investigation into allegations of misconduct by former Congressman Gaetz. Of course, he abruptly resigned before that could happen. A number of your colleagues, including members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, have said they would like to see that report. Should the House Ethics Committee release that report, Senator?
Absolutely, and I believe the Senate should have access to that. Now, should it be released to the public or not? That's I guess that will be part of the negotiations, but that should be definitely part of our decision making. Once again, I go back to it in Article 2, Section 2 in the Constitution. The Senate has to advise and consent these individuals. And in that process, we're going to give Matt Gaetz the same chances we'll give all President Trump's nominees. And by the way, I do believe that President Trump has the ability to pick some really, really good people. You can see why he's been successful in business, why he was successful in running his campaign, because he surrounds himself with the right people. So I have no doubt that President Trump believes that Matt Gaetz is the right person to do the right job. But at the same time, the background of Matt Gaetz does matter, and what the decisions that the Senate makes has to be within our boundaries of the constitutional authority that we have, and we will do our due diligence there. And I'll say this: Matt will be treated the same as every nominee out there, from myself and every other senator out there.
And you say background matters. I want to ask you about his views. Here's a little bit of what Matt Gaetz had to say last year about the very law enforcement agencies that he is poised to be tapped to oversee. Take a look.
We either get this government back on our side or we defund and get rid of, abolish the FBI, CDC, ATF, DOJ, every last one of them if they do not come to heal.
Senator, do you support getting rid of the FBI, the DOJ under any circumstances?
No, I actually agree with what Matt was saying there. As hard as that is for me to say that, I actually agree with him, because what he's saying is they were either come to the side of the American people and quit playing politics. The DOJ and the FBI has been politicized. There's no question about it. We've seen what they've done to President Trump. We've seen the attacks that they continue to go after him with. The DOJ is 100% weaponized. You saw the FBI and the fake Russia hoax. You saw the FBI shielding the Biden family.
Well, and worth noting, of course, Hunter Biden has now been convicted on federal charges. The charges that were brought against President-elect Trump were brought by...
Absolutely, yes, to get there.
Let me ask you broadly, though, do you support the President-elect telling his Attorney General to prosecute, to go after people he considers to be his political enemies?
The president didn't say that. That's being taken completely out of context. And President Trump hasn't been the one that weaponized the DOJ to go after his political enemies. President Trump did not do that when he was in office the first 4 years. He could have clearly done that against the Clintons if he wanted to. He didn't. Who did weaponize the DOJ was the Biden administration. We saw them continuously going after President Trump.
Senator, it's worth noting there's absolutely no evidence that President Biden had anything to do with the federal charges brought against President-elect Trump.
Now, can you believe that? Does that make any sense? You have to sit back, and these are grown men. And Donald Trump is an inept, immoral criminal. And these guys acquiesce to everything that he wants, everything that he does. And it's not like he won this electoral landslide where people are going to love him. The fact of the matter is, folks, a lot of people didn't vote. A lot of people didn't vote. Are you willing to destroy the country out of your fears? We have a lot of work to do. And progressives, we have to engage. We cannot disengage now. More than ever, the country needs what we're doing. And folks, we have to support those of us doing this work, because more than ever, this is what we need to get done.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
So yes, folks, join. Let me correct the record for those people who still living in a fantasy land. Donald Trump, let's be clear here, because we have Lee Grant saying with Trump winning huge, and he have it in all caps, Trump running huge. All the left has is Gaetz bashing. No. First of all, let's be frank. Trump did not win huge. The count's still going on, and as the count goes on, the numbers get closer to what it's going to be. In fact, as it turns out now, there's still a possibility that he doesn't win the popular vote. Okay, there's still that possibility. Because guess what? The popular vote now is 74,067 for Kamala, which is 48.26%, and Trump 76,646 for 98, which is 49.94%. So here's the reality. Trump has not closed the deal as far as getting half the votes in the country. Let's be clear. Donald Trump is not, this was not a landslide because of the fraud that is the Electoral College. It looks a lot more lopsided than it really is. There are the numbers on the screen. Those of you that are MAGA, that follow politics done right, look at the screen. Trump 49.94%, Kamala Harris 48.26%. A point and change, under 2 points. So when you talk about this being a landslide, wake up. It is not. You're lying to yourself. One of the biggest problems with this election is that the Democrats didn't come out to vote. And even under that scenario, he barely eked it out. So let's be clear here, folks. I am not taking away Trump's win. He won. But don't dare call it a landslide for Trump. Don't dare call it a mandate for Trump, because that's not what winning by a point looks like. Okay? Let's be very clear. Paul Fleming says, just absorbing the fact that the first order of business in the new QAnon inflicted MAGA Republican era is to demand that Congress bury its report on sex trafficking and drug allegations against a Republican member of Congress who they're trying to promote to the higher office. In that gig, he would oversee anti-human trafficking, and he's a human trafficker himself, law enforcement efforts, while also presumably being wide open to blackmail extortion by anyone with access to the buried report they're trying to suppress. That report has got to come out. That report has got to come out. But again, let's just make it clear to all our MAGA folk. Trump did not win in a landslide, and there are the numbers. I mean, he's going to win the he won the election, but it was nowhere close to a landslide. Let's take a look at the combination. Let me change that now to how. Now, here is why he won, though. This is a change. This is how much redder everything migrated to between 2020 and 2024. And this is the change in votes between 2020 and 2024. And that is why he won. Okay, if we take a look at somewhere like California, it is 2 million votes less than it was before. If you take a look at, let's go to our places like if you go to a place like Pennsylvania, you actually had an increase in turnout in Pennsylvania. So that Trump really juiced it in Pennsylvania. We go to Michigan, we had a drop in turnout in Michigan. We had a drop in turnout in Indiana. We had a drop in turnout in Ohio. We had a drop in turnout in Wisconsin had a slight increase. So let's start looking at facts and stop just making senseless comments. Here are the actual vote counts. There was no landslide. It was the closest election we've had in decades. If you want to see what a landslide looked like, take a look at the 7 million votes by which Biden beat the pants off of Trump. Okay? So I just wanted to get that clear before anyone had anything. All right, I have a 20-minute video to play. So if there's anybody that wants to call in before I play that 20-minute video, it is time to do so now. The telephone number is, of course, 281 823-7747. I am scrolling down to see if there's a Michael Rudnin, shouting racial. Yeah, I saw that in Ohio. I can't read that, but you have it there for folks to read. Let's see what else we got. Paul Fleming, NPR, SpaceX and Amazon are asking the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals to find the National Labor Relations Board's unconstitutional. There you go, the plutocracy trying to take away the workers' rights. Yeah, I told you the title of the show today is Trump is screwing MAGA, and that is exactly one of the ways he's going to screw it. Louis Johnson, welcome to Politics Done Right. Trump was not successful in business. He continually failed, but did not have to face any consequences. That's what's called, Brother Louis Johnson, that is what's called privilege. Trump has the privilege of being able to fail upward. Most Americans, whether they be people of color or women, they don't get the opportunity to fail upward. But Donald Trump gets the opportunity to fail upward because of who he is. Welcome aboard, Carl Cox. Welcome aboard. All right, let's see what else we got. I'm scrolling down. Okay, like I said, folks, I'm going to hold the phones open for another 3 minutes, and then I have to play the actually 2 minutes, and then I have to play the video. It's 281. There we go. Mr. Magner, how you doing, my dear brother Patrick? Talk to me.
Doing great. How are you?
I am doing fine, my brother. How is it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I wanted to kind of point out that Trump is openly vengeful. He will burn a bridge that he needs to cross again just to get back at somebody that he didn't feel was loyal to him.
Right.
And the second term, when we said no to him, that was everybody.
Yep.
He is currently trying to do damage to anybody and everybody in the United States. He has enough money and his friends have enough money to where it really doesn't matter. If they lose a factor of 10 or 100 times on their wealth, they're still fine, while the rest of America won't be able to eat.
Oh
He
no,
understands that.
Yeah, you're right. This is vengeful time, right? And again, he doesn't have anything to worry about because now he has the levers of power. That's why you see that he put a whole lot of nonsensical people that he's suggesting that he wants into power. Welcome aboard, Alistair Waters. Great to see you here from Conroe, Texas, and Maywood from Long Beach, California. Welcome to Politics Done Right. Mike Cisak from Missouri. But yeah, Magner, you're absolutely right. He doesn't have anything to lose. But anything else, I want to go play my soliloquy for my afternoon audience. Anything else you want to say, my brother?
Yeah, he's not smart enough to understand what kind of consequences are coming. And soon we'll see churches being shot up again. Soon we'll see churches getting burned again. Soon we'll see when these white power people are released from prison and they feel justified and they feel like they were on the right side. All this violence is going to start up again, and this on top of racism and misogynistic actions. This is what we voted for.
Exactly.
And then one other thing I'm pretty sure you're smart enough, because I can tell you're extremely smart. You've researched books. The thing that really gets me is how fast you're on your feet. And people can come out to me and have a comment, but it takes me an hour to 24 hours to really think it over and everything. But your comments are extremely well thought out, and they're almost instantaneous. And so the people that you're reaching out to, the conservatives that are maybe like Eric, I don't know enough about him to know if he's actually like this, but what you're doing is you're causing them to reconsider their worldview, because in their worldview you don't exist. You're an immigrant. You're speaking better than a lot of people do in a second language, and their worldview is not compatible with that. And that's what I see a lot of this behavior from the right towards folks like you. You're too intelligent for them to accept, and so they're trying to sabotage you.
Well, let me just tell you something. A lot of the folks in the chat, you're so right about. But you know what? It's an interesting thing, and this is something that I've been speaking to Bridge MCP about, because sometimes she gets irate with me for the way I civilly deal with these people. Many of them are nothing but trolls, right? But what happens, and how I know this is the emails that I get from people who, because I take up, most of the stuff that Eric has in the chat is nonsensical. When he says something like either get Gaetz or Paxton, if you're going to tell me that the best you have to offer is Gaetz or Paxton, and you feel proud to say that, that doesn't speak about me, Magner. That speaks about him. That he, a person that purports to be a Christian, a person that purports to be moral, a person that has kids and think that somehow represents an example for their kids, that he would put that in the chat, that helps believe it or not, it doesn't help with him because he goes down as the person that is immoral, right? But there are so many people that will send an email or so and say, wow, is that who I was? And to put it bluntly, it's like how I used to be as well, right? When I was a sexist and I look back at some of the things that I did now, I'm like, oh my God, was I actually like that? And so what I try not to do is, first of all, I try to give everybody a chance, right? And by the way, I'm agreeing with you. I'm trying to give everybody a chance. But and I hope you understand this, don't think that I'm just gullibly trying to appease the MAGA that you see in the chat or anything like this. It goes so much beyond them.
Yeah, I don't think that at all. But I think that they think that they might be clever, and they need to understand that they're not getting away with it just because you're being kind to them. I'm saying something that you can't say, but I'm pretty sure you know it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, and I know that I appreciate you, both in the morning show, the afternoon show, and we gotta go get some coffee.
Yes, sir. That's coming up. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, brother. We'll talk. Let me play the soliloquy, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Peace. Soliloquy time. The Republicans would have you believe that most Americans are slouches. They'll have you believe that somehow the plutocracy, those people on top, they have to be watching every single American to make sure that you're out there busting your butt and working hard, and that everything that you ask for from we the people, your government, is a handout, and that no, you don't need any handouts. You need to go out there and work for it. Hey, look, I'm going to tell you something from somebody who's from Central America, from somebody who's been all over the world, from China to the Caribbean. Let me tell you something. The hardest workers I have ever seen in my life, bar none, are Americans. The least greedy people I've seen are Americans. But what is a problem is we are governed by psychopaths. And just like, we've heard about the good girl kind of having affinity for or kind of liking the bad guy when they're growing up, Sometimes you wonder, the good guy is sitting down there in class and, he treats the ladies well. And this, I swear I'm not being sexist. I'm just kind of hear me out. They some of the ladies kind of like the bad guys when they're growing up. But as they mature, they settle down and realize, you know what? The steady hand, the good person, the person who cares is what you want. That's how I look at America so often. Sometimes we go for that bad guy being male or female. Sometimes we go for that bad guy, not knowing deep inside that it's bad for us, but we keep doing it. Look, most Americans, I repeat, are hard workers, but most of the people who profit immensely, not the regular grocery store owner or the McDonald's franchise owner or the Whataburger franchise owner or the Burger King franchise owner. They're fine. They have a few $1 million in their pockets. They're fine. They're good people. They hire, etc. But the real parasites in our economy, the real people that take advantage of all of you outside, all of you within our country, are those psychopaths, those billionaires. And yes, most of our billionaires are psychopaths. I mean, no one person has earned $1 billion. No one person can make $1 billion. It is all what's known as excess labor. All the money they have is money denied you. But they would make you believe that they have some innate intelligence, some innate intellect that make them so good to be worth what they have. Because we
have been programmed to believe that the way our economic system works is the best and is how things are rewarded. I am here to tell you it's not the case. When you go outside and you see that garbage man throwing the garbage into that truck, making minimum wage, making less than a living wage, and he makes or she makes your life more livable. Think of not having that person there and what happens to your street after a month, after a couple months. It becomes unlivable. Think about that person sweeping the floors. I mean, we have a tendency to believe we're worth more than we're worth. Oh, I'm an engineer. I make a lot of, well, not anymore, but, engineers make a good amount of money, right? And, you go out there and you go out of your office and there's a janitor there. And some of these guys would have a tendency to, look down at some of these folks, hey, I'm the engineer, I'm the lawyer, I'm the this, I'm the that. But get yourself in need of something and you realize how interdependent we are and how arbitrary what we pay, how we live really is. A teacher, the most important profession on the planet, bar none. I repeat, the teacher, the professor, these are the most important professions, bar none. They are the ones who move knowledge forward. Without the teacher, there ain't no engineer. Without the teacher, there ain't no doctor. Without the teacher, there ain't any of the things that make society move forward. Yet, the way we partake of funds, the teacher doesn't come close to being valued as they should. But the stockbroker, who is nothing but again, by definition, I want you guys to not just take my words. Think about the definition of, let's say, a parasite. A parasite is something dependent on something that is stable and sucks the life out of it or sucks a lot. There are two kinds of parasites, right? There's a parasite that actually kills, and there's a parasite that is just dependent on. And in the case of the stockbroker, in the case of many professions that make a whole lot of money in our society because of the way we have defined things, these parasites are just dependent on but produce nothing. The stockbroker, dependent on but produces nothing. Many executives in corporations depend on but produces nothing. Yet they control our government, right? Because they pay the monies that they've stolen from you. And notice I've used the word stolen. And by the way, I mean that literally. The money they've stolen from you, they use and they bribe the politicians to get their will. So now that brother, and by the way, this is across party lines. I'm very frank. They both are owned by our corporate state. Every party is owned by our corporate state. Every single one. But the difference is at least the Democratic Party gives you some crumbs. At least you get some crumbs, right? At least we got the Affordable Care Act that most Americans, even though they were for a while, the evil ones tried to make you believe that something good for you was not good. You got it anyway, and now you can't live without it. And we have the new people back in power again. And it's all on again, as Jack was pointing out, with SNAP and all these other programs. Do you really think SNAP is a problem or being abused? Somebody finds 2 or 3 people who go and buy steaks with their SNAP or go buy all these expensive things with their SNAP. They highlight it, they make it a story, and they paste that on to every single person who's on SNAP. Food stamps. But you know what? If you want to know where the people are on food stamps, and if you want to know how much food stamps really cost compared to the tax cuts that they're given to wealthy people who are undeserving because said wealth was aimed or gotten on your back? No. But interestingly, we told you so. Before the election, we told you so. And I'm going to say we told you so. I think it is time for us to hold Americans accountable. We all have to be held accountable for our votes. But we told you so. Right now, and this is the article that Brother Jack was referencing. Remember, during the Trump administration, the first administration, he gave a huge tax cut. He made the tax cuts for corporations and wealthy people permanent. But the pennies, and notice I said pennies, because the tax cut that you got in the Trump administration, which was minute, few dollars a week, something you don't even see, was all eaten up by the increase in cost, not only by inflation. Well, every increase in cost is inflation. By the reduction that you got in services from your doctors and the larger deductibles that you paid, etc., it was all eaten up. It was all eaten up by that. In other words, the little tax cut that you folks got, we menial folks got, that was all eaten up. And guess what? Whenever we say that was eaten up by the extra deductibles that you pay, the extra costs in food, etc., that was saying the following. We gave the tax cut to the wealthy. We gave a little tax cut to the middle class. We raised the prices on the middle class, and the rich people took the money right back from the middle class in the form of higher prices that ate up their tax cut and any wage gain that they got. So once again, our masters got us, and we turn our butts and say, kick me one more time. Kick me one more time. At some time, America, we have to wise up to the game. We have to wise up to the game. They giveth and taketh away from the poor. They giveth and taketh away from the middle class, and it's only one class that makes it. You know, Dr. Theis, who, as part of the Houston Peace and Justice Center, we gave him an award, a Peacemaker Award, last weekend. And he came on to my 3:00 show, and we started talking about what's going to happen, etc. And he pointed out, we have to change the narrative. People don't like to hear that it's class warfare, but it is time for us now to acknowledge that we are, in fact, having a class warfare, and the middle class and the lower classes are losing. A bigger part of the pie continues to go to the wealthy. And this is by design. And this is by design. This is by misleading you, disinforming you, and you making the wrong choices. The choices that continues year after year to take what you have earned, It's hard to accept, but in many of the other soliloquies that I've done, I've pointed out that the techniques are well known. The techniques that the plutocracy uses, the oligarchy uses, the wealthy, the people who control our economy uses. It uses all our insecurities to get it done. And in the case of the Kamala versus Trump election, they use to maximal effect gender, race, and the permanency of the patriarchy. This election had nothing to do with the economy. The economic message was simply a cover for people to be able to execute on their innate prejudices. That's the answer. All the complexities that you see on TV, the Democrats didn't come out with the right economic answer, and all these things, all of that is hogwash. None of that matters. It's all hogwash. But it turns out, I will say it once again, we told you so. And now that we have a new president-elect, and now that the policy that he is going to effect on day one is coming to fruition, remember, that is what we elected. Now, end of that part of the soliloquy, but I do want to go on to another piece of the soliloquy. That wasn't a part of the show today, but it just rang the bell. Donald Trump says he's going to start on day one the deportation, the disruption to get people out of the country. And now California farmers are starting to get worried because California produces about 25% of all our goods. And the kind of work that's required to produce all those vegetable goods, plant goods, etc., the truth of the matter is, no matter what you pay, you can't get Americans to do that kind of work. Again, we've moved away from training people to do all kinds of works because we have exported everything and we have imported all kinds of things to solve what we've learned or taught people not to like to do anymore. And what that means if Trump is successful in starting this deportation, look, I mean, he's going to destroy his own administration by doing this, right? Because again, what's going to happen is it's going to be that prices are going to go through the roof, because there's going to be, like happened in Georgia when they started getting rid of people, and like happened in Florida. The construction industry is just about destroyed because of the immigration issue. And in Georgia, the peaches are left on the ground because of the immigration issue. It's about to happen throughout the country, assuming Donald Trump doesn't get paid off to just give a facade of throwing people out. Because remember, the man is a con man. I had on my show yesterday where I said, I am not really sure that the deportations are going to occur as you think. I think they're making a big hoopla out of it right now, and they are going to round up a few criminals that they call criminals to make a big picture out of it. And in the background, I think they will be taking bribes. And these are the bribes that they're going to take, in my opinion. This is opinion, folks. I separate opinion from facts. I separate opinions from facts. What I'm giving you now is an opinion, not a fact. It's an opinion. All right. My opinion is the following. Donald Trump is going to get paid off for the private sector to create detention centers. And that's going to be used as a cost center to enrich a few, to lock up a whole lot of folks that they can somehow say you're a criminal, or that doesn't have a marginal effect on our agricultural sector, where we actually need a lot of labor. So I think they're going to give a big hoopla to show that they're locking people up, because they think you want to see that. They think you want to see us harm those immigrants that came over the border looking for a better life, that you want to get rid of them, that you hate them, that you want to do the non-biblical thing, that when Jesus said open your hearts to these people, the evangelical Christians have said otherwise, against the Bible, of course. But you are going to want to get rid of those people, and they think that you want to see those people on buses and kicked and thrown into these detention camps. That's what they think you want to see, and they're going to make you see that. So they're going to enrich quite a few people by showing you that they can be evil to those others, those people that walked across the border, number one. Number two, in the background, they will be taking bribes from the big agricultural industrialists. Hey, turn a blind eye, guys. Turn a blind eye. Let my people work and get the crop out. Turn a blind eye. I'll donate to your campaign. I'll donate to the RNC. I'll do all these things. Anybody doesn't think the possibility exists that this deportation machine is not about destroying the agricultural sector, because that is like hurting yourself, but to be in a position to bribe, to profit on somebody else's back. The typical thing the capitalist does. That is what again, folks, that particular part of my narrative is not fact. The first part was fact. This part is opinion. We'll see if it occurs. So again, we told you so. We told you these are the machinations that were going to happen. And as we just showed from all reporting, it has started. His administration has not yet started, but you have to come into the administration with policy, and the policies that are out there are saying he wants to maintain the tax cuts, and he has to find the monies from somewhere, because again, the deficits and the way the financial sector is set up, he has to find the money somewhere. And that money comes from whom again? From you. All those benefits that you get, that adds up, and they have to get it from you. So my brothers and sisters in Appalachia who overwhelmingly supported Donald Trump, remember, you are the poorest part of this country. You are the ones receiving the most food stamps and other support from our government. And it is you who will be paying the price to ensure that these wealthy politicians, or these wealthy industrialists, wealthy capitalists, wealthy oligarchs, continue to get the tax cuts that they have gotten. And for all of you who said, hey, I voted for Donald Trump because he said he was going to not tax my tips.
Let me remind you, if you've ever filled out your 1040 form or your your 1040 easy or whatever, guess what, brothers and sisters? Your tips weren't taxed anyway. That was a promise not worth the money it was stated on. And let me tell you why your tips was never ever taxed. Your tips weren't taxed because every American citizen gets I think it's a $23,000 write-off up top, deduction up on the top. On your top line. And unless you make so much in tips that it pumps you into the $60,000 to $70,000 category of income, you didn't pay taxes on your tips anyway. So it was a promise that sounded good, but here's where the promise makes sense. When Kamala Harris said, I am going to also not tax tips, she made sure to talk about it being for service workers. But she made sure that stockbrokers couldn't use it. But guess what? The no tax on tip is just another leverage from the parasites that do no work in our economy. Not the server who serves you your platter at the restaurant, but for the guy who said, I am going to start making the income that I earn from helping you with your stock, from being your financial planner. That's now going to be a tip. Will you give me a tip? They didn't put a limit on the tip, and now I get a new tax break for millionaires. Folks, we continue to be played. And as long as we allow ourselves to be played, we'll continue to get played. All right. As long as we continue to not think, as long as we continue to buy into the fraud, we will continue to get played. And to my MAGA brothers and sisters, the orange man played you. Unfortunately, as you allowed yourself to be played, you're also hurting all of us. But the people that you're hurting the most are your brothers and sisters in Appalachia, your brothers and sisters in red states, because those are the most needy states in our country. Those are the states that are most dependent. Those are the states that are the sicker. Those are the states that are the least educated. Those are the states that need the most infrastructure. That's why all of Biden's infrastructure programs, all of Biden's social programs mostly went to red states. Wow. And for that, you decided to elect the orange man who cares nothing about those of you who voted for him. Because remember, the educated white women voted for Kamala. The educated white men voted for Kamala. The ones that most needed the support, whether it be scholarship to be educated, healthcare, etc., they voted for Trump. And guess what that means? The policies that he's going to pass affects you more than it affects anyone else. But again, that was your choice. Anyway, I want to go ahead and look, E2247, I get it, brother. Day 410 of the war, at least 43,972 Gazans were killed. Absolutely. 2,214 persons more than on day 365. The war in Gaza is brutal. I am going to be heading to Virginia for my uncle's, not funeral because he was cremated, my last living uncle. I'm going to his memorial on Friday. I'll be doing my show Thursday morning at KPFT, but I won't be doing a live show on Thursday or Friday. But I have great material, new material, so please remember to come by because it's going to be live again, but from my live stream. And E2247, the one that I likely do on Thursday is going to be for you. It's going to be Charlotte Dennett, whose dad was a spy, who talks about the pipelines in the Middle East and explains what Gaza is really all about. E2247, I know sometimes you get upset because you don't think I call the Gaza stuff out enough. We're powerless until we get together, brother. Please remember that. And no, it's never outside of my mind, E2247. It's never, ever outside of my mind. So the show on Thursday, I think it's going to be Thursday, it's going to be Charlotte Dennett, and we will be talking about what's going on in Gaza and the real reason behind Gaza. I just want you to know that, E2247. So when you're putting all that stuff in there, don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm not. But everybody else can see it as well. Okay? All right. All right, folks, I have to get ready to get out of here. Love you all. But before that, I want to ask you all. It's Christmas time. It's Thanksgiving times. We are Thank you, my brother. My sister, Yvette Avery. I appreciate you. You know I love you, girl. I appreciate you. Um. I want to ask you guys again, not only you, but to make other people aware of our program and the importance of our program. And I want to ask anyone who has the ability to become paid subscribers of our newsletter if you can. I know some people are strapped and I understand that. But the right wing is doing the job. The right wing is getting their message out, and the right wing is paid a lot. I've always told you guys that Politics Done Right has gotten offers to jump ship and become one of these podcasters for the right wing, just like all the others. And my stock to become a right winger is high because they're looking for black folks and Latino folks to change the narrative. So they want what we're doing here on the right, and they're willing to pay, man. I would never do it. I would never do it. This is important, what we do. The progressive movement is important. But I got to ask you guys that we need to support our progressive show, both my show and TYT and Daily Coast. We need to support all these organizations. We really, really do need to support them. And how can you support us? Become a paid subscriber. It's cheap. If we get a lot of people doing a little bit, it's amazing how effective we can be because we don't take a lot of money. If Kamala had used a lot of her money with thousands of bloggers instead of giving thousands to consultants, we would have changed the rules. So please consider becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you prefer to support us in some other way, please visit politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. But again, I would love for all of you who can to become paid subscribers of our newsletter. And by the way, you get something for that. You get to all 5 of my books. You get to read without buying it. You get to read it on Substack. And every new book that I put out, you also get to read. So I'm saying, yeah, support us, but we want to give back. And we're going to give other specialities later on. So please go to, if you can, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and support us. All right, I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. I love you all. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.